The silver ship moved through the dark space like a ghost. Fleet Admiral Kethfer stood on the bridge of the celestial dawn, watching the stars through the wide viewing screen. His blue skin showed no emotion, but his 3 eyes focused on something strange ahead. "Admiral, we have detected an unknown vessel," said Science Officer Velton. His voice carried the musical tone that all Zephyrians used when they spoke. "It appears to be drifting at the edge of this system." Kethvar moved closer to the control panel. The Zephyrians had been exploring this part of space for many cycles, but they had never seen a ship like this one. It was smaller than their own vessel, with a dark gray hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Run a basic scan," Kethvar ordered. "Let us see what we are dealing with." The bridge filled with soft blue light as the scanning systems came online. Velton worked at his station, his long fingers dancing over the controls. After a few moments, he looked up with confusion in his large eyes. "Admiral, the vessel appears to be inhabited. I am reading life signs of approximately 200 beings. They seem to be ... carbon-based. Bipedal. The ship itself appears to be constructed from basic metals and alloys." Kethvar felt a wave of disappointment. Another primitive species, barely capable of space travel. The Zephyrians had encountered dozens of such races in their peaceful exploration of the galaxy. Most were friendly once they understood that the Zephyrians meant no harm. "Any response to our presence?" he asked. "None yet, Admiral. The vessel continues on its previous course." "Wait. ... Velton paused, his equipment making new sounds. "I am detecting communication signals. They are aware of us." On the human ship USS Liberty, Captain Jake Murphy stood in the center of his bridge. The lighting was dim compared to the bright Zephyrian vessel. The walls were covered with screens showing data and star charts. Murphy was a tall man with graying hair and calm blue eyes that had seen many years of service. "Contact bearing 037, Captain," reported Amy Bell from the communications station. She was young, with short brown hair and quick hands that moved over her controls without looking. "Unknown configuration. They're scanning us." "Let them look," Murphy said quietly. He turned to Rick Stone, his tactical officer. Stone was a solid man with dark skin and steady hands. "What do you see, Rick?" Stone studied his screens for a moment. "Single vessel, larger than us. No weapons visible, but that doesn't mean much. They're being very polite with their scans. Nothing aggressive." Murphy nodded. He had been expecting this day for a long time. Earth had been watching the galaxy for decades, learning about the different species and their ways. The Zephyrians were known to be peaceful explorers, but Murphy knew better than to trust appearances. "Lisa, how are we looking?" he called to his chief engineer. Lisa Park looked up from her station. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and oil-stained hands. "All systems normal, Captain. We're showing them exactly what we want them to see." Back on the Zephyrian ship, Velton was growing more interested in the strange vessel. "Admiral, I am reading some unusual energy signatures. Their power source appears to be fusion-based, quite primitive, but there are some anomalies I cannot." "Explain anomalies," Kethvar asked. "The power distribution does not match what I would expect from such a simple reactor. And their hull composition is basic steel and titanium, but the density readings are inconsistent." Dr. Nethala, the ship's xenobiologist, joined them at the scanner station. She was smaller than the other Zephyrians, with lighter blue skin and gentle movements. "What about the life forms? Have you been able to analyze them?" Velton switched his displays to show biological data, carbon-based, as I said. "But their physical structure is ... surprising. High muscle density, very dense bone structure. Their cardiovascular systems are remarkably efficient. Perhaps they evolved on a high-gravity world," Nethala suggested. "Perhaps, but look at this." Velton pointed to another screen. "Their stress responses are unlike anything in our database. Even now, while being scanned by an unknown alien vessel, their heart rates remain steady. Their brain activity shows no signs of panic or fear." Kethvar found this interesting. Most species showed clear signs of stress when encountered by unknown vessels. The Zephyrians had learned to expect everything from panic to aggression to complete shutdown of higher brain functions. Try to establish communication, he ordered. Standard first contact protocols? Amy Bell looked up from her station on the human ship. Captain, they're hailing us. Standard mathematical sequences, followed by what looks like a linguistic pattern. Put it through, Murphy said. The bridge filled with the musical tones of the Zephyrian language. Amy worked quickly, her computer systems analyzing the sounds and patterns. After a few minutes, she had a basic translation program running. They're calling themselves Zephyrians, she reported. They say they come in peace and wish to establish communication with our species. Murphy smiled slightly. How polite. Open. A channel, Amy. Let's talk to our new friends. The communication link opened and Cuthbert's voice filled both bridges. Through the translation systems, the words came across clearly. Greetings, unknown vessel. I am Fleet Admiral Cuthbert of the Zephyrian Exploration Fleet. We mean you no harm and wish only to establish peaceful contact with your species, Murphy stepped forward. Greetings, Admiral Cuthbert. I am Captain Jake Murphy of the vessel Liberty. We welcome peaceful contact with your people. There was a pause as both sides processed this exchange. Then Cuthbert spoke again. Captain Murphy, we would be honored to learn more about your species and your civilization. Would you be willing to share information about your people? Murphy looked around his bridge at his crew. Rick Stone gave him a small nod. Lisa Park's hands moved over her controls, making subtle adjustments to their systems. Amy Bell kept her translation programs running smoothly. We would be happy to share information, Admiral Murphy replied. Please, scan our vessel as much as you like. We have nothing to hide. On the Zephyrian bridge, Velton looked surprised. Most species were reluctant to allow deep scans of their vessels. But these humans seemed almost eager to be examined. Very. Well, Cuthbert said, we'll begin our standard analysis procedures. Thank you for your cooperation. As the communication link closed, Murphy turned to his crew. Positions everyone. Let's show our guests what they want to see. The Zephyrians began their scans in earnest, their powerful sensors reaching deep into the human vessel. They saw exactly what they expected to see, a primitive ship with basic weapons and simple technology. What they did not see was far more important. The real USS Liberty was just beginning to reveal itself. The deep scans began 3 hours after first contact. Velton worked at his station with growing confidence. The human vessel was exactly what it appeared to be, a simple ship with basic technology. He had seen dozens of similar vessels from other primitive species. Admiral, the detailed scans are showing interesting results, Velton reported. His 3 eyes focused on the data streaming across his screens. Their fusion reactor is crude but functional. Their weapons appear to be simple railguns, probably effective only at close range. Cuthbert nodded, feeling more relaxed. What about their defensive systems? It's basic energy shields, nothing sophisticated. Their whole armor is standard metal. Plating, a single shot from our plasma cannons would disable their vessel completely. Dr. Nathala moved closer to examine the biological readings. I want to run deeper bioscans on the crew. There are some things about these humans that puzzle me. Proceed, Cuthbert said. The more we learn about them, the better we can help them advance their civilization. Zephyrians believed in guiding younger species toward peace and prosperity. They had done this many times before, sharing technology and knowledge with races that showed promise. These humans seemed no different from the others. But as Nathala ran her detailed biological scans, she began to see things that made no sense. The human crew showed physical characteristics that should not exist in a civilized species. Velton, look at this, she called. These readings cannot be correct. Velton glanced at her screen and frowned. What am I looking at? Readings. According to this data, the average human on that ship has physical strength equivalent to our heavy labor machines. Their bone density is 3 times what we would expect for their body mass. Perhaps an error in the scanning equipment? Ran the scans 4 times. The readings are consistent. Nathala pulled up more data. Look at their cardiovascular systems. Their hearts are designed for extreme physical stress. Their blood carries oxygen at levels that would be toxic to most species. Velton studied the information with growing concern. What kind of world would produce beings like this? A world where weakness means death, Nathala said quietly. On the bridge of the Liberty. Lisa Park monitored the alien scans with professional interest. Her fingers moved across her control panels, making small adjustments to ensure the Zephyrians saw exactly what the humans wanted them to see. They're getting curious about our biology, she reported to Captain Murphy. The medical scans are pretty thorough. Murphy looked at the data on his own screen.
Let them look.
They'll figure out we're tough, but that's not exactly a secret. Rick Stone glanced up from his tactical station. Captain, I've finished analyzing their scanning methods. Their technology is impressive, but they have some blind spots we can use. Good work, Rick. What about their ship? Large, well-armed, but designed for exploration, not combat. Their weapons are powerful, but slow to target. Their shields are strong, but not adaptive. Classic peaceful species design.
Amy Bell listened to the alien communications while running her own analysis.
Programs. Captain, I'm picking up interesting data from their internal communications. They seem very confident about their superiority over us. Let them stay confident, Murphy said. Pete, what's your read on the situation? Lieutenant Commander Pete. Davis looked up from his intelligence station. He was a quiet man with sharp eyes who specialized in reading enemy intentions. They're treating us like children, sir. Friendly children, but children nonetheless. They think we're harmless. Perfect, Murphy said. Meanwhile, Velton had moved beyond basic scans and begun attempting to access the human ship's computer systems. The encryption was surprisingly weak, and he broke through the outer defenses within minutes. Admiral, I have accessed their data storage systems, he reported with satisfaction. I am downloading their historical records now. Excellent work, Kethfer said. What can you tell us about human civilization? Belton's expression changed as the first files appeared on his screen. These records are ... extensive. They seem to have detailed documentation going back thousands of years. A meticulous species. That is promising. But as Velton read deeper into the human historical files, his confidence began to fade. The first record he opened was labeled World War II and contained numbers that seemed impossible. Admiral, he said slowly, according to this file. Humans fought a global conflict that lasted 6 years and killed over 70 million of their own species. 70 million. Kethfer moved closer to look at the screen. That cannot be correct. No civilized species would engage in such destruction. Velton opened more files. His hands began to shake as he read. Admiral, there are dozens of these conflicts. Hundreds of smaller wars. According to their own records, humans have been fighting continuously for over 10,000 years. Dr. Nethala joined them at the station. She read the data with growing horror. Look at this section on their weapons development. They have detailed plans for devices designed to kill millions at once. Surely these are fictional stories, Kethfer said, but his voice showed doubt. These are historical records, complete with dates, locations, and casualty counts. The humans have documented every conflict, every weapon, every method of destruction they have ever developed. The bridge of the Celestial Dawn fell silent as the three Zephyrians read through file after file of human warfare. They learned about concepts that had no equivalent in their language. Genocide, chemical weapons, nuclear warfare, biological attacks. This species, Nethala whispered, they turned war into a science. On the Liberty, Pete Davis monitored the alien data access with amusement. They're reading our history files, Captain. Started with World War II. Poor choice, Murphy said. That's one of our more polite conflicts. Should I redirect them to something friendlier? No, let them read. They wanted to know about human civilization. Now they're learning. Lisa Park checked her instruments. Captain, their scanning intensity just increased. I think we got their attention. Amy Bell looked up from her station with concern. Sir, I'm reading elevated stress levels from the alien ship. Their heart rates are increasing. They're starting to understand what they're dealing with. Rick, are we ready for the next phase? Rick Stone smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. All systems standing by, Captain. Just give the word. Back on the Zephyrian ship, Velton had opened a file labeled Military Tactics Throughout History. The document contained detailed analysis of every major battle humans had ever fought. It's complete with lessons learned and improvements made. They study war like we study mathematics, he said in horror. Every defeat becomes knowledge for the next victory. Every weapon leads to a better weapon. Kethfer read over his shoulder. These humans, they do not fight to survive. They fight to win. There is a difference. Admiral Dr. Nethala said urgently, I have been analyzing their ship's specifications. More carefully, the power distribution patterns, the hull density readings, the crew quarters design, none of it matches what we initially scanned. What do you mean? I mean, this vessel is not what it appears to be. The humans are showing us what they want us to see, while hiding their true capabilities. Velton looked up from the historical files with fear in his eyes. Admiral, I just found a section on something called deception warfare. According to this, humans consider lying to enemies a fundamental military skill. The three Zephyrians stared at each other as the truth began to dawn on them. They were not observing a primitive species. They were being studied by predators who had turned deception into an art form. Admiral Velton said quietly, I believe we have made a serious error. Kethfer looked at the human ship on his viewing screen. It looked the same as before, but now he saw it differently. What had seemed like simple construction now looked like deliberate camouflage. What had appeared to be basic systems now seemed like careful misdirection. Contact the human vessel, he ordered. We need to end this encounter immediately. But even as he spoke, Kethfer knew it was too late. The humans had been watching them just as carefully as they had been watching the humans, and the humans had been doing it far more skillfully. Dr. Nethala could not stop reading the human biological data. Each new scan revealed something more disturbing about these creatures. She called up genetic analysis programs that the Zephyrians had used on hundreds of species across the galaxy. Velton, you need to see this, she said, her voice tight with fear. I have analyzed human DNA and compared it to their planetary records. Velton looked up from the war histories he had been studying. His three eyes were wide with shock from what he had already learned. What did you find? These humans did not evolve on a peaceful world like most intelligent species. Their home planet is a death trap. Nethala brought up images from the human databases. Look at these creatures that share their world. The screens filled with images that made the Zephyrians step back in horror. Massive predators with teeth, like swords. Poisonous creatures that could kill with a touch. Flying hunters that could tear apart prey twice their size. Every single life form on their planet is designed to kill, Nethala continued. The plants are poisonous. The weather can destroy entire cities. The ground itself moves and shakes, swallowing buildings whole. Velton stared at the images. How did any intelligent life survive in such a place? They did not just survive, Nethala said grimly. They became the ultimate predator. Look at these hunting records from their early history. She showed them images of early humans tracking animals 10 times their size across vast distances. Humans working in groups to bring down creatures that could crush them with a single blow. Humans using tools and fire and clever traps to kill anything that threatened them. They hunted everything, she whispered. And when they ran out of other things to hunt, they hunted each other. Admiral Kethfer joined them at the science station. He had been trying to contact other Zephyrian ships in the area, but something was blocking their communications. What have you learned? Admiral, humans are not like other species, Nethala explained. Most intelligent life evolves from prey animals. We developed big brains to hide from predators and find food safely, but humans evolved from predators. They developed big brains to hunt more effectively. Velton pulled up more data from the human ship. Look at their military structure, Admiral. Every human on that vessel has been trained to fight. Not just the soldiers, the engineers, the communications officers, even their medical staff are all warriors. Kethfer studied the information with growing dread. In Zephyrian society, only a tiny percentage of the population ever learned combat skills, and those were used purely for defense. But these humans seemed to treat warfare as a basic life skill. Their training records showed combat exercises that would kill most species, Velton continued. They practice fighting in zero gravity, underwater, in extreme heat and cold. They train to fight when injured, when outnumbered, when their equipment fails. Why would they need such training? Kethfer asked because on their world, if you cannot fight, you die. Nathala answered. But it goes beyond that. They do not just train to survive combat, they train to win combat. There is a difference. The Zephyrian officer pulled up human tactical manuals that made her sick to read. They have doctrines for every type of warfare imaginable. They plan for battles in space, on planets, inside buildings, underground. They have strategies for fighting enemies larger than them, smaller than them, more advanced than them. Most disturbing of all, Velton added, they have detailed plans for fighting enemies they have never seen before. They spend time thinking about how to kill species they have not yet met. On the human ship, the crew continued their careful monitoring of the alien vessel. Pete Davis watched the Zephyrian communications with professional interest. Captain, they are getting very agitated over there, he reported. Internal communications are increasing. Stress indicators are through the roof. Captain Murphy nodded calmly. They are learning about human nature. How are they handling it? Not well. Sir? They seem particularly upset about our evolutionary history and military training programs. Lisa Park looked up from her engineering station. Captain, they are trying to contact other ships in the area, but our jamming systems are blocking them. Good. Let them focus on us for now. Rick, what is your assessment of their vessel? Rick Stone had been analyzing the alien ship since the encounter began. Powerful but predictable, sir. They have excellent defensive capabilities and strong weapons, but their tactical systems are designed for fighting other peaceful species. They have no experience with real predators. Elaborate. Their weapons are accurate, but slow. Their shields are strong, but not adaptive. Their maneuvering systems prioritize efficiency over combat effectiveness. Most importantly, their crew is not trained for battle. They are explorers, not warriors. Amy Bell interrupted from her station.
Captain.
The aliens are attempting to hail us again, they sound, ... frightened.
Us.
Murphy smiled slightly. Put them through. The voice of Admiral Kethver filled the bridge, but now it carried a tremor that had not been there before. Captain Murphy, we have completed our analysis of your vessel and your species. We ... We wish to conclude this encounter and depart peacefully. Of course, Admiral Murphy replied smoothly. I hope you found our information helpful. We are always happy to share knowledge with peaceful species. There was a long pause before Kethver responded. Captain, your species has a very unique history. We had not expected to encounter such a militaristic civilization. Militaristic? Murphy sounded genuinely puzzled. Admiral, we are simply humans doing human things. We adapt to our environment and overcome challenges. That is how we have always survived. On the Zephyrian bridge, Kethver looked at his officers with desperation. These humans spoke of war and death as casually as the Zephyrians discussed the weather. Captain Murphy Kethver tried again. Your historical records show tremendous destruction and loss of life. Do your people not seek peace? We love peace, Admiral, Murphy answered. Just understand that peace must be earned and protected. In our experience, those who cannot defend peace will not keep it for long. Velton was frantically scanning deeper into the human ship's systems. What he found made his blood freeze. Admiral, he whispered urgently, their ship is not what we thought it was. What do you mean? The power signatures, the hull composition, the internal layout, they have been masking their true specifications. This vessel has at least 3 times the power output we initially detected. Dr. Nathala ran new scans on the human crew. Admiral, the biological readings have changed as well. They're no longer showing us accurate data about their physical capabilities. They have been lying to us from the beginning, Kethver realized. Not lying. Velton corrected grimly. According to their military manuals, this is called intelligence warfare. They control what enemies learn about them while gathering information about their opponents. We're not their enemies, Kethver protested. To a human, Dr. Nathala said after reading more of their psychological profiles, there are no neutrals. There are allies, enemies, and future enemies. Every encounter is preparation for potential conflict. The Admiral looked at the human ship with new eyes. What had seemed like a simple patrol vessel now looked like a wolf in sheep's clothing. The humans had been studying the Zephyrians just as intensively as the Zephyrians had been studying them, but with far greater skill and deception. Admiral Velton said quietly, "I believe we need to warn the Galactic Council about this species immediately." Agreed. But first, we need to survive this encounter. Kethfer opened communications again, trying to keep his voice steady. "Captain Murphy, we thank you for your cooperation. We'll be departing now to continue our exploration mission." "Safe travels, Admiral," Murphy replied pleasantly. "It has been a pleasure meeting you." But as the Zephyrians prepared to leave, they realized that the human ship had been slowly moving into a better tactical position throughout their entire conversation. The Liberty now had clear firing solutions on all of the Celestial Dawn's critical systems. The humans had not just been sharing information, they had been preparing for war. The moment Admiral Kethfer tried to move his ship away from the humans, he discovered the trap they had walked into. Chief Navigator Zareth looked up from his station with panic in his large eyes. "Admiral, our navigation systems are being jammed. I cannot plot a course away from the human vessel." "What do you mean jammed?" Kethfer demanded. "Something is interfering with our sensors. We cannot see clearly beyond a few thousand kilometers. It is as if space itself has become cloudy around." Velton worked frantically at his scanning station. "Admiral, the humans have deployed some kind of electronic warfare system. They are controlling what we can see and where we can go. The readings from their crew have changed again. They are no longer hiding their true physical capabilities." "Show me," Kethfer ordered. The screens filled with new data about the human crew. What they saw made the Zephyrians step back in fear. The humans were not just strong, they were incredibly strong. Their reaction times were faster than any species in the galactic database. Their endurance levels were off the charts. "According to these readings," Nethala said with a shaking voice, "a single human could physically overpower 3 Zephyrians without using any weapons." "That cannot be correct," Kethfer protested. "I have run the scans 5 times. The data is accurate." "But there is something worse, Admiral. Look at their psychological profiles." She brought up brain scans of the human crew. "They are not afraid. Of us, not even slightly. Their stress levels are actually lower now than when we first made contact." "Lower? How is that possible?" "Because now they know exactly what kind of threat we represent. Uncertainty makes humans cautious. Knowledge makes them confident." On the bridge of the Liberty, Captain Murphy stood calmly in the center of his command. "Crew, the atmosphere was relaxed, professional, and utterly without fear. Pete, what is the status of our guests?" Murphy asked. Lieutenant Commander Davis smiled as he read the alien communications. "They are discovering that we have been managing their sensor readings since the first moment of contact, sir. They seem upset about it. Understandable." "Amy, are they still trying to contact other ships?" Amy Bell nodded. "Yes, sir, but our jamming is holding. It cannot reach anyone beyond local range." Lisa Park looked up from her engineering station. "With satisfaction, Captain, all systems are now operating at full capacity. We are no longer masking our true specifications." "Excellent, Rick." Tactical assessment. Rick Stone studied his displays with the calm focus of a professional warrior. "We have complete tactical superiority, Captain. They cannot run, they cannot hide, and they cannot fight effectively. If this turns into a combat situation, we will win decisively." Arif nodded. "And if they have friends coming to help them?" "Long-range sensors show 2 more Zephyrian vessels approaching this position, but they are still 6 hours away. It's more than enough time to conclude this encounter on our terms." Dr. Kate White, the ship's xenobiologist, looked up from her analysis. Station. She was a quiet woman who specialized in understanding alien psychology and behavior patterns. "Captain, I have completed my analysis of the Zephyrian crew. They are displaying classic prey species panic responses. Their fight-or-flight instincts are completely focused on flight, but since they cannot flee, they are becoming increasingly desperate." "Dangerous?" Murphy asked.
"Not in the way you might think, sir."
"They are not trained for combat, and their species has no history of aggressive behavior. But desperate beings sometimes make poor decisions. Murphy considered this information. Recommendations? Show them our true capabilities gradually. Them understand their situation without pushing them into complete panic. Want them to report back to their people with accurate information, not wild stories born from terror. Agreed. Pete, what do you think they have learned about us so far? Davis consulted his intelligence reports. They know we are much stronger than we appear. They know our history is violent. They know we have been deceiving them from the beginning. But they do not yet understand the full scope of human capabilities. Time to expand their education. Lisa dropped the power masking completely. Show them what this ship really is. Lisa Park's fingers danced over her controls. Aye, sir. Full power signature coming online now. On the Zephyrian ship, alarms began ringing throughout the bridge. Belton stared at his instruments with horror as the readings climbed higher and higher. Admiral, the human vessel's power output just increased by 800%, he reported with a trembling voice. 800%. That is impossible. The readings are confirmed. Admiral, this is not a small patrol ship. The power signature matches a heavy battle cruiser. Kethfer felt his hearts racing. What about their weapons? Scanning now. Belton's hand shook as he worked. Admiral, I am reading weapon systems that we did not detect before. Multiple railgun batteries, missile launchers, energy weapons, and something else. Something I do not recognize. Their defensive systems? Shields at full strength would stop anything in our arsenal. Their armor plating is not steel and titanium, as we first believed. It appears to be some kind of advanced composite material. Dr. Nathala ran new scans on the human crew. Admiral, they have stopped hiding their equipment as well. Every crew member is armed with personal weapons. Their body armor is integrated into their uniforms. They have been ready for combat this entire time. The bridge fell silent, except for the sound of alarms and scanning equipment. The Zephyrians realized they had been completely outmaneuvered by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Admiral Zareth said quietly, "What kind of species disguises a warship as a patrol vessel?" "A species that expects to be underestimated," Kethfer replied grimly. "A species that uses enemy assumptions as a weapon." The communication system activated, and Captain Murphy's voice filled the bridge. But now his tone was different, still polite, but with an edge that had not been there before. "Admiral Kethfer, I hope you are not planning to leave without saying goodbye. We have been enjoying our conversations so much." Kethfer tried to keep his voice steady. "Captain Murphy, we have completed our mission here. We wish to depart peacefully." "Of course, Admiral. First, I think we should discuss what you have learned about humanity. We would not want any misunderstandings to develop between our species." "What do you mean?" "I mean that you will be reporting this encounter to your superiors. We want to make sure you give them accurate information about human capabilities and intentions." Velton whispered urgently to his admiral. "Sir, they have been listening to our internal communications. They know everything we have said." Kethfer closed his eyes in despair. The humans had not just been scanning their ship and jamming their systems. They had been monitoring every conversation, every plan, every moment of growing fear and realization. "Captain," Murphy Kethfer said carefully, "what exactly do you want from us?" "Very simple, Admiral. We want you to understand that humanity is not the primitive species you expected to find. We want you to return to your people with a clear picture of who we are and what we are capable of. And if we refuse—" There was a long pause before Murphy answered. When he spoke, his voice was calm and matter-of-fact, which somehow made his words more terrifying. "Admiral, you have been studying our history for several hours now. In all of those records, have you found any examples of humans accepting refusal when the stakes were important?" Kethfer had indeed read enough human history to know the answer to that question. Humans did not accept no for an answer when they truly wanted something. They found ways to get what they wanted, one way or another. "What do you propose?" he asked quietly. "Demonstration, Admiral. Nothing harmful. Just a small display of human capabilities. Something your people will find educational." The Zephyrian bridge crew looked at each other with fear. They were about to learn what humans could do when they stopped pretending to be harmless. Captain Murphy walked slowly around his bridge, his hands clasped behind his back. His crew watched him with the quiet attention of professionals who knew their commander was about to make an important decision. "Amy," Open a channel to the Zephyrian vessel. Full visual this time. The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the Celestial Dawn. Admiral Kethfer stood in the center, surrounded by his frightened crew. The contrast between the two bridges was striking. The aliens looked panicked and confused, while the humans appeared calm and completely in control. Admiral Kethfer Murphy said with a slight smile, "I think it is time we had an honest conversation about what your people have discovered today." Kethfer tried to maintain his dignity despite the fear in his eyes. "What do you want from us?" "Captain, I want you to understand something very important. What you have seen today is not unusual for humanity. The USS Liberty is not one of our most advanced warships, is not crewed by our best warriors, is not equipped with our most powerful weapons." Kethfer felt his blood grow cold. "Are you saying?" "I am saying that this ship and this crew represent average human military capability. We have hundreds of vessels like this one, and many that are far more dangerous." Dr. Kate White stepped forward from her station. "Admiral, may I explain something about human military organization?" Kethfer nodded, though he was not sure he wanted to hear what she had to say. "Your people seem to believe that humans are naturally violent and warlike. This is not accurate. We are naturally practical. We understand that the universe is a dangerous place, and we prepare accordingly." "What do you mean?" Kethfer asked. "I mean that everything you have seen today was planned long before we ever met your species. Human military doctrine requires us to be ready for any situation, including first contact with unknown aliens." Rick Stone looked up from his tactical station. "Admiral, would you like to know how we have been tracking your vessel?" "Tracking us?" "We are right here in front of you, not just now. We have been monitoring your ship since you entered this system. 3 days ago, we knew you were coming long before you detected us." Velton stared at his instruments in disbelief. "That is impossible. Our sensors would have detected any scanning activity." "Your sensors detect the kind of scanning that your people use," Lisa Park explained. "Human scanning technology works differently. We have been studying your ship's capabilities, your crew's behavior patterns, and your communications protocols since you arrived." Pete Davis pulled up a holographic display showing the Zephyrian ship from multiple angles. "We know your vessel carries a crew of 47. We know your weapons systems have a 12-second charging cycle. We know your captain has been in command for 6 years and has never engaged in combat. We also know," Amy Bell added, "that you have been trying to contact 2 other Zephyrian ships in this area, the Starlight Echo and the Peaceful Dawn. Both are exploration vessels with minimal armament." Kethfer felt his world crumbling around him. "How do you know the names of our ships?" "Because we have been monitoring galactic communications for decades," Murphy replied. "We know about the Galactic Council. We know about the major species and their territories. We know about their military capabilities and their political structures. If you have known about us for so long, why have you not made contact before now?" Murphy's expression became serious, as we wanted to understand what kind of neighbors we would be living with. Needed to know if galactic civilization was truly peaceful, or if it was peaceful only because no one had ever been seriously challenged. Dr. Nathella spoke up from her station. "What have you concluded? That most species in the galaxy are peaceful because they evolved on worlds where aggression was not necessary for survival. You developed intelligence to avoid conflict, not to win it. This makes you wise in many ways, but it also makes you vulnerable. Vulnerable to what? To species like humanity. To anyone who understands that good intentions are not enough to maintain peace. Peace requires strength, and strength requires preparation." Captain Murphy gestured to his crew. "Every person on this ship has trained for years to be ready for exactly this kind of encounter. We have practiced first contact scenarios hundreds of times. We have studied alien psychology, alien technology, and alien military doctrine." "Why?" Kethfer asked. "Why do you prepare so thoroughly for war?" "Because we have learned from our own history that those who are not prepared for war will become victims of those who are. We do not want to conquer anyone, Admiral. We want to make sure that no one can conquer us." Rick Stone brought up tactical displays showing the positions of all 3 Zephyrian ships. "Your reinforcements will arrive in 4 hours and 23 minutes. The Starlight Echo is armed with basic plasma cannons. The Peaceful Dawn has only defensive systems. If you wanted to destroy all 3 ships, Lisa Park continued, we could do so in approximately 7 minutes. But we do not want to destroy you. We want to educate you. Educate us about what? About the reality of human capabilities, about what it means to share a galaxy with a species that has spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of warfare. Murphy walked closer to the screen, his eyes meeting Cuthbert's directly. Admiral, I'm going to show you something that no alien has ever seen before. I am going to show you what happens when humans stop pretending to be something they are. The bridge of the Liberty began to change. Panels slid back to reveal additional weapon controls. The lighting shifted to a harsh red color that made the human crew look more dangerous. Screens throughout the bridge displayed targeting information and tactical data. Amy, transmit our true identification codes to the Zephyrian vessel. Amy's fingers moved over her controls. Codes transmitted, Captain. On the alien ship, Velton stared at his screen in horror. Admiral, the identification codes show this vessel as the UES Retribution, a Nemesis-class heavy cruiser. According to their own database, it is one of the most powerful warships in the human fleet. But we scanned it, Cuthbert protested. Showed as a simple patrol vessel. Because we wanted it to, Murphy replied. Human military doctrine includes extensive training in deception and misdirection. We do not reveal our true capabilities. Until we choose to do so, Dr. Kate White accessed the ship's cultural database. Admiral, I am transmitting detailed information about human military structure to your ship. You will find it educational. The data that appeared on the Zephyrian screens was staggering. Humans had a military organization that spanned multiple star systems. They had weapons that could destroy planets. They had soldiers trained from childhood to be perfect warriors. This cannot be real, Dr. Nethela whispered. It is completely real, Murphy replied. And it represents only a small fraction of human military capability. We have not shown you our advanced weapons, our special operations forces, or our strategic planning capabilities. What do you want from us? Cuthbert asked again. I want you to return to your people with a message. Tell them that humanity is not a primitive species that needs guidance. Tell them that we are a civilization that has survived and thrived in a hostile universe through strength, intelligence, and preparation. And if we refuse to deliver this message, Murphy's smile was cold and without humor. Admiral, you have been scanning our databases for hours? Have you found any examples of humans making empty threats? Cuthbert had indeed read enough human history to know that when humans said they would do something, they did it. They did not bluff, they did not make idle threats, and they did not accept failure. What exactly do you want us to tell our people? Tell them that humanity is ready to join galactic civilization, but only as equals. Tell them that we will not be treated as children or primitives. Tell them that we are willing to be peaceful neighbors, but only with those who treat us with respect. And if they do not accept this? Murphy's expression grew very serious. Then tell them that we have other options. Options that we would prefer not to use, but options that we are fully prepared to implement if necessary. The bridge fell silent. As the implications of Murphy's words sank in, the humans were not asking to join galactic civilization. They were announcing their arrival and setting the terms for how they would be treated. Captain Cuthbert said quietly, "You were asking us to fundamentally change how the galaxy operates." No, Admiral. We are informing you that the galaxy is already changed. The only question is whether that change happens peacefully or through conflict. Murphy gestured to his crew, who began shutting down the weapon displays and returning the bridge to its normal appearance. We prefer peace, Admiral, but we are prepared for any alternative. Admiral Cuthbert stood on his bridge, staring at the human ship that had completely shattered his understanding of the galaxy. His crew waited silently for his decision, their eyes filled with fear and uncertainty. Captain Murphy, he said finally, you are asking us to return to our people and tell them that everything we believed about galactic civilization was wrong? Not wrong, Admiral. Simply incomplete. Your people have built a peaceful galaxy because no one has challenged that peace. Now someone has arrived who could challenge it, but chooses not to. That is a very different situation. Dr. Nethela looked up from her station with confusion. If humans are as powerful as you claim, why have you remained hidden for so long? Why reveal yourselves now? Dr. Kate White answered from the human bridge. Because we have finished our preparations. We have studied your civilizations, learned your languages, and developed our technologies to the point where we can engage with you as equals. What kind of preparations? Belton asked. Pete Davis smiled grimly. We have mapped every major star system in this sector. We have identified the locations of your military bases, your industrial centers, and your government facilities. We have analyzed your defensive capabilities and developed countermeasures for your weapons. You have been planning to invade us, Kethver said with horror. No, Captain Murphy replied firmly. We have been planning to defend ourselves. There is a difference, though. I understand why it might not seem that way to you. What is the difference? The difference is that we do not want your territory, your resources, or your people. We want to be left alone to build our own civilization in our own space. But we also want to make sure that no one tries to stop us from doing so. Amy Bell brought up a star chart showing human space and the surrounding alien territories. Admiral, humans currently control 47 star systems. We have colonies on 63 worlds and mining operations on over 200 asteroids and moons. That is impossible, Zareth protested. We would have detected such expansion. You detected what we wanted you to detect, Lisa Park explained. Human expansion has been deliberately quiet and careful. We have avoided systems claimed by other species and focused on areas that appeared empty. But some of those systems are within Galactic Council territory, Kethver objected. Territory that was claimed but never settled, Rick Stone corrected. We have been very careful to avoid actual conflict, but we have also been very thorough. In securing our borders, Captain Murphy walked to the center of his bridge, his expression serious but not threatening. Admiral, let me be completely clear about human intentions. We do not want to conquer anyone. We do not want to rule anyone. Do not want to change anyone's way of life. And what do you want? Recognition as a sovereign species with the right to exist and expand within our own territory. We want trade relationships with those who are interested in trading with us. We want to be treated as equals in any diplomatic discussions that affect our interests. And if the Galactic Council refuses these requests? Murphy's expression hardened. Slightly, then we will proceed without the Council's approval. We will continue to expand our territory, develop our technology, and build our civilization. The only difference will be that we will do so without considering the opinions or interests of species that do not consider ours. Dr. Nethala studied the biological data she had collected during the encounter. Captain, may I ask you a personal question? Of course, do humans enjoy violence? Your history suggests that your species finds satisfaction in conflict. Murphy considered the question carefully. Some humans enjoy the challenge of conflict, yes, but most of us prefer peace. The difference is that we understand the price of peace and are willing to pay it. What price? Constant vigilance, continuous preparation, the willingness to fight when fighting becomes necessary. Most species in the galaxy have never had to learn these lessons because they evolved in safer environments. Dr. Kate White added, humans do not fight because we want to fight. We fight because we refuse to be victims. There is an important difference. What about mercy? Kethver asked. If you are as powerful as you claim, what stops you from simply taking whatever you want? The same thing that has always stopped humans from destroying each other completely, Murphy replied. We understand that today's enemy might be tomorrow's ally. We know that strength without wisdom leads to destruction. We have learned these lessons through 10,000 years of making mistakes. Pete Davis brought up historical files on his screen. Admiral, human history includes many examples of powerful civilizations that collapsed because they relied only on strength. We have studied these failures and learned from them. We have also learned, Amy Bell continued, that the strongest civilizations are those that combine military power with economic prosperity, technological advancement, and cultural development. Humans excel at war, but we also excel at peace when peace is possible. Lisa Park looked up from her engineering station. Admiral, we are about to demonstrate something that might interest you. Captain, permission to show them our construction. Capabilities? Murphy nodded. Proceed, Lisa. The screens on both ships showed an image of space near the edge of human territory. At first, the Zephyrians saw nothing unusual. Then structures began to appear as the human sensors revealed what had been hidden. "What are we looking at?" Velton asked in amazement. "A human shipyard," Lisa explained. "It has been operating in that location for 3 years, producing vessels like the one you are currently facing." The scale of the construction facility was staggering. It was larger than most Zephorian cities, with multiple construction bays, resource processing centers, and defensive platforms. "How many ships have you built?" Cuthbert asked quietly. "That is classified information," Rick Stone replied. "I can tell you that the Liberty is not unique." Captain Murphy made a gesture, and the tactical displays on his bridge showed dozens of contacts throughout human space. "Admiral, you are looking at a small portion of the human fleet. These are just the ships that we are willing to let you see." The Zephyrian crew stared at the displays in shock. Each contact represented a vessel as powerful as the one they were currently facing, and there were more contacts than they could count. "Why are you showing us this?" Cuthbert asked. "Because we want you to understand that humanity is not a small group of primitive beings who stumbled into space by accident. We are a mature civilization with the resources and technology to defend our interests. Are you threatening us?" Murphy shook his head. "We are informing you. There is a difference. A threat implies that we want something from you. Information is simply data that helps you make better decisions." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The Zephyrians were not dealing with a new species that needed guidance. They were dealing with a civilization that might be more advanced and certainly more dangerous than their own. "What happens now?" Cuthbert asked. "Now you return to your people and report what you have learned. You tell them that humanity exists, that we are powerful, and that we are willing to coexist peacefully with those who treat us with respect. And if they decide to treat humans as a threat," Murphy's smile was cold but not cruel, "then they will discover why that is a poor decision. Admiral, humans have been preparing for hostile contact since before we left our home world. We hope it will not be necessary, but we are ready." Amy Bell interrupted from her station. "Captain, the other Zephyrian ships are approaching our position." "Perfect timing," Murphy said. "Admiral, your reinforcements will arrive shortly. When they do, you will have a choice to make." "What choice?" "You can report this encounter as a first contact situation with a new ally, or you can report it as a threat assessment of a dangerous enemy. The choice you make will determine how humanity responds to future contact with your people." Cuthbert looked around his bridge at his frightened crew. They had come here expecting to encounter primitives. Instead, they had met predators who were offering them a chance at friendship on equal terms. "Captain Murphy," he said finally, "if we report that humans wish to be allies, what assurance do we have that you will honor such an alliance?" "The same assurance you give us, Admiral. Our word, backed by our actions. Humans keep their promises to friends and allies. Also keep our promises to enemies. And which will we be?" Murphy's expression softened slightly. "That choice, Admiral, is entirely up to you." The communication ended and the Zephyrian ship was left alone with its revelations. In a few hours, they would meet their reinforcements and decide how to report this encounter to the Galactic Council. The galaxy would never be the same. The only question was whether it would change through cooperation or through conflict. On the human ship, Captain Murphy turned to his crew. "Well done, everyone. Pete, prepare a report for Earth Command. Let them know that first contact has been achieved." "How do you think they will respond, sir?" Amy Bell asked. Murphy looked at the alien ship on his screen. "They will do what all intelligent beings do when faced with a superior force. They will adapt. And if they do not, then we will teach them how."